What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is PUREXNOBLE. Now this video is for my content creators out there. Black Ops 6 is here. This is a new year of Call of Duty content, and I know that a lot of our existing creators are just pushing out content left and right. But the reason why I wanted to make this video stems from this comment here. I post mostly clips on Facebook but stream on YouTube, have not figured out a good niche for YouTube yet. Now, with Black Ops 6 being here, new content, right? A lot of people want to start making Call of Duty content, but they're not too sure how they want to start, especially for long form content on YouTube. Because, at the end of the day, there's other social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, right? Twitter, all of these are very good foundations to start pushing out short form content. But if you want to do long form content, the best social media platform that is going to give you that exposure for views is going to be YouTube. So what I did for you guys is I wanted to gather more information about different types of niches that you can go to when it comes to making Call of Duty content. So here are 3 content niche ideas that you can go into. But before we can get into the video, we are currently sitting at 1090 subs. If you believe in honest gaming and creating Call of Duty content the honest way, please drop a video a like, drop a channel a sub so that we can start pushing out more content. All right, thank you so much, guys. So the first niche that I want to talk about is the Call of Duty informant. Now, other YouTubers that give a good example of being the Call of Duty informant type of channel is you look at JGod, Exclusive Ace, Prestigious Key, right? These are some of the OG Call of Duty informants. So one of the strengths about being a Call of Duty informant channel is that you get to present all news and info about Call of Duty in your own way. So that means you have your own free reign to edit the way that you want to edit. You can make yourself stand out between other Call of Duty informants by either being more detailed, by providing more of a personal input on all the news that comes out with Call of Duty. And when it comes to the creative aspect about being a Call of Duty informant is you don't have to necessarily think too much outside of the box when it comes to generating new content. You're always going to have more content and new content to talk about because Call of Duty is always evolving. A lot of the content you don't have to put too much creative thought into it. A lot of it is self-made because all of the content that is coming in, this is all from Call of Duty. Anything that's news related, any changes to the weapons, weapon patch updates, season updates, a lot of this news is already generated for you. It's all up to you how you want to present the information, whether you want to put your own spin on it. That's up to you. Now, one of the weaknesses about being a Call of Duty informant channel, especially when you're talking about analytics, right? Trying to make the content and videos that generate the most views for your channel, the most growth for your channel, is that you have to be the first on scene. What I mean by that is think of yourself as a news reporter, right? A lot of the news reporters, they're going to get the most coverage. They're going to get the most prestige when it comes to showing their content because they're the first ones to talk about it. The views that you're going to generate from being the first video to talk about it compared to being the 12th video to talk about it is going to be night and day. So what you have to do to get ahead of this weakness is that you have to create and put systems in place that allows you to get the information first, find a way to edit that information the quickest way you can when it comes to recording what you want to say, the information that you want to talk about, and uploading it before anyone else does. Now think about it, right? You are competing against people like JGod, Exclusive Ace, Prestigious Key. They've been doing this for years. They know how the system works. So, this has to be time. This has to be repetition in which you'll get better at posting the content first and posting in a way that engages the audience. And also, in my opinion, the other weakness of this content is it limits your creativity, especially if you're the type of person that wants to push out maybe your own gameplay. Maybe you have your own tips and tricks ideas that you want to do for Call of Duty that you want to show, right? If people are following your channel for mainly Call of Duty info and you start to venture out into, hey, check out my stream, hey, check out this, 20 kill bomb match that I had in multiplayer, right? They don't necessarily align with that. You might lose subs. So you don't want to divide your audience too much. If you are going to stick to a niche, stick to that. You could try divide up into other niches in Call of Duty, but I recommend making a separate channel for that where you can have a little bit of more creativity. So speaking of tips and tricks, that is actually the second niche that I'm going to be talking about, is the Call of Duty tips and tricks niche. So good examples of people that are very well known in this space. You look at Cup of Joe, you look at Savage. These creators essentially make their content about helping players, about helping other players in the Warzone scene, in the ranked scene, in the competitive scene, or just how to be better overall as a player. And that's the main strength of your channel, is that their channel is full of positivity, because as a viewer, right, you are seeing this individual as someone who is taking their time and making this content and editing these contents of all these tips and ways to improve, right? As a player, that is a very positive channel, and you know, a lot of people are gonna view to that and gather to that naturally. So another good strength about this content is allows you to freely incorporate your own gameplay. Because for example, you can create tips, right? How do you create tips? Sometimes you create tips by playing the game itself, like while you're playing the game, right? You're voiceovering the tips that you're trying to put into the game, or you're recording your own gameplay and you're posting it up and saying, hey, this is my, you know, this is the dub that I got on this Warzone match. I'm going to do a voiceover and I'm going to talk to you about all the tips that I use to help me win that match. And then there are two main things that actually create a weakness for your channel when you're trying to make this type of content. Weakness number one is that COD doesn't change as much as people like to think. Right? At most, you know, from season to season, they will switch up the weapon balances, the weapon damages. They'll change a couple of things on the map, you know, very small changes. So in regards to that, the amount of tips that you're gonna do will eventually dry out. So what I recommend is that if you're trying to be a tips and tricks channel, don't try to incorporate 10 or 20 or 30 tricks at a time and make a 50-minute video. I would rather break those down into smaller amount of tips, say 3 to 5, right? That way you can break it into multiple videos. So one, the viewers are always gonna have something to watch, and two, you're always gonna have content to upload and generate at a pace in which when new information comes up, when new things change about Call of Duty, you're going to be ready for that and you'll have content to be uploading until that time comes. Second one is more so just a saturated part of the Call of Duty space. A lot of channels are doing tips and tricks. You know, how many videos have you seen about your best keyboard settings, your best controller settings? Hey, here are all your tips and tricks to be the movement demon, right? This market is very saturated in regards to tips and tricks, but what's good is there's always a good flow of players wanting to be better at the game every year. So essentially, even though the market is saturated, at least you're going to have a good balance of views. It's a matter of trying to take those views and said, hey, I know that there's 4 or 5 other channels doing tips and tricks. Why don't you come to my channel and I'm going to show you my way of how I'm going to input tips and tricks. And then the last niche that I want to talk about in the Call of Duty space is high kill content. Now, I'm going to speak some positives as well as some negatives about this type of content because I have a personal bias, but we'll get to that later in the video. Now, it took me a while to find out which YouTubers to pick from this because there's so many YouTubers that do it, but I'm just going to think of the last 2 names that I thought of when it comes to high kill content. You have Mark of a Hero and then you have Frizz Eyes. Now, even though I'm going to speak negative about this type of niche, there are a lot of positives for this niche and strengths when you want to make this type of channel. One, it's very easy in regards to generating content because if you're a skilled Call of Duty player, you know, all you have to do is essentially play the match and you could just record the entire match. Right? If you are easily dropping 50, 60, 80 kills a match, all you have to do is play that one match. Boom, you literally have enough content for one video. The second is very minimal editing is needed, right? You aren't trying to over edit or cut out a lot of things or put in a lot of different types of information because you're essentially only showing your high kill gameplay. At most, you're doing your first 1 or 2 minute intro of like, hey, I'm Mark of a Hero. I'm going to show you how powerful this weapon is today. By the way, sub to the channel. Okay, let's get to the gameplay. Boom, you're done. Right? Very minimal editing is needed. And then also you're never going to be running out of content because if you are a skilled player, how many videos you can make of weapons that you can use in those videos, different types of builds that you can use in the video, right? If you think of an XM4, right? Check out this XM4 build close range. Check out this XM4 kill match long range. Check out this XM4 where I did all movement attachments. Check out this XM4 where I did no attachments, right? It's endless Call of Duty content, and on the creative aspect, you don't have to think too much. So the weaknesses of this type of content is that it's a very oversaturated market of this type of content. A lot of people are doing high kill content. And the thing is, if you aren't trying to produce the same level of these high kill content creators, say if you're not a skilled player, right? You're at most an average player that will get maybe 10 or 20 kills a match in multiplayer, right? How are you going to compete with that level of kills compared to Mark of a Hero or Frizz Eyes, who's dropping 80 or 90 kills a match, right? Because of that pressure of trying to stay competitive with those type of people, it forces individuals to use manipulative ways to get easier lobbies. Things like possibly VPNing, things like two-boxing. For me, my personal opinion, I'm against two-boxing because this is a way of reverse boosting. This is a way of trying to get easier players to kill for the sake of content, right? The angle that I'm coming at this is from a moral standpoint. But you know, you have Mark of a Hero, you have Frizz Eyes doing these type of methods, whether they're open about it or not, hey, you know, that's up for you to decide. That is your own way to define if you're against two-boxing or not. But in my opinion, that's a very cheesy way to generate content, is by crashing on the casual player base. And also another weakness to being a high kill content is that you're only going to have high kill content be the main focal point of your channel. It's going to limit your creative growth as a YouTuber to be able to connect the audience in a way, not with your kills, but with your personality. Sometimes what I see is that a lot of people who do high kill content, that's the only way they're going to be recognized for their channel. That's why you'll have some individuals, for example, like Mark of a Hero, right? I believe he has up to 200,000 subs, but he's only averaging about 2 to 4K views a video. Now you compare that to other channels like The Rick, right? I'm not going to bring up the beef. This is just coming up to my mind as like recent events, right? You look at The Rick, who has sub 20,000 followers, but look at the views that he gets on his page, on his videos, whether it be talking about creators that are two-boxing or his own gameplay, he's still generating 10 to 15,000 views. That's how you know that the viewers that they are developing is connecting with the creator. A lot of people are liking The Rick, not just for his content, but for him as a YouTuber. So my counter to that is, if you are going to be a high kill content creator, you need to generate a level of personality with your content. You cannot be monotone with it. You can't just be like, hi, my name is PUREXNOBLE. This is the weapon that I'm going to use for this match, and I dropped 100 kills. Yeah, watch it, like it, sub, thanks. You know, generate a character, generate a personality, put that into your content. So those are 3 niches that I thought of on the top of my head and did a little bit of research on to kind of give you an idea or direction that you want to go when it comes to starting Call of Duty content. Now, like I said, you know, whether you follow my advice or not, you know, at least take it into consideration that what you go into for your channel is going to be something that you are truly passionate about, right? Don't go into high kill content channel if you are not all about that. If you want to talk about how you are developing as a player and you want to talk about your tips and tricks, make it a tips and tricks channel. Just because the high kill content is, you know, generating more views than tips and tricks, don't just follow the views, because at that point, you're going to start following the views. You're going to be a slave to the algorithm. You're going to be a slave to trends. It's going to limit your creative ability as a YouTuber. All right. But that's all I have for the video, guys. Like I said, if you do believe in honest gaming and you do believe in generating Call of Duty content the honest way, please drop a like, drop a sub to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. All right. Take care.